Well, I'm not really quite sure what to talk about this week again, but I do have, this was my first orchid and it was from Home Depot that I bought back in San Diego over a decade ago. And it's blooming again, as are the rest of these. Last year they didn't really, this year they are, and I'm pretty excited. So, more orchids are blooming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down here, and at least another 3 upstairs. So it's a good year for orchids. Not sure it's worth it to go outside. The garden is still overgrown. We had a decent rainstorm 2 nights ago. It wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to rain like 12 hours after it did, but that's okay. So the garden is overgrown with maypops and strawberries all over the place, and that's pretty much it. So the neighbor's garden, while they're away on vacation, they told me to oh, I didn't put a date on these. They told me to go pick whatever's ripe in there so that it doesn't end up just going to waste. I'll need to put a date on these. So they have cucumbers, tomatoes, and spicy peppers. So I've been making some salsa, and I'm going to give them back some salsa. I already gave them 1 jar from the first batch that I made. The second batch, I think there was a ghost pepper that was ripe. I wanted to leave them their nice peppers, but it looked like it was thinking about starting to rot, so I just picked them. I guess they don't stay ripe on the plants for as long as I thought. So nice spicy salsa. I actually found the recipe on the kind of jars that I use is the ball ones. So the ball pickling and preserving recipes online, and they have a book too. So I found, I think it's called Zesty Salsa recipe. It's pretty much tomatoes, peppers, onions, and cider vinegar. So I used that. But if you use that, the amount of vinegar that you add into it doesn't leave enough of the liquid sauce to fill up the jars. It would end up just being chunks. So I keep having to top it off with cider. The first time that I made it and the second time that I made it. Maybe I should have remembered from the first time, but whatever, fine. So I'm glad I got that pH meter to test the pH. It's actually 4.2 on the ones that I didn't top up with more vinegar. So the ones with more vinegar are probably even more acidic. And if it's lower than 4.6, it's safe for canning from botulism. So I made a nice spicy salsa. I had some of it yesterday with some scrambled eggs, and it was proper fiery. I bought a couple yellow and orange bell peppers from the grocery store to fill out how much pepper it wanted in the recipe. So I've been making this, and I also took the mint that grows in my front yard and made some mint jelly that I'm not quite sure it's set. The recipe, let me get my footstool here. The recipe called for, I used the ball canning book, but then I also looked up equivalencies online because I'm allergic to lemon, right? And I think I even bookmarked it in the book. I don't remember where I put the book. It's the book on my table. So I found, oh, it is. I found equivalencies, and I put them on sticky notes for myself. So it's a tablespoon of lemon juice for a 1/4 teaspoon citric acid. So essentially this turned into, I ended up having twice as much mint as this wanted. It was mostly the fuzzy apple mint from the front yard, and a little bit of the chocolate mint, orange mint, and the Vietnamese mints that I have in my garden. Was there another mint? I don't remember. Anyway, so I had ended up doubling this, and then for the pouch of liquid pectin, I only had powdered, and I realized I did the equivalence of that based on what the powdered pectin said on the pectin jar that I had, and it said 6 tablespoons, and then later I found a recipe online that said essentially the same. For this volume of mint, you would use 6 tablespoons of powdered pectin. So I used this recipe here, and it hasn't quite set. So something online said that sometimes it takes up to 2 days to set. So let's test it here. Yep. It's still a liquid, so I don't know. I don't know if I want to try to reset it or if I put it in a fridge, if it'll turn into more of a solid. Maybe I should put one of these into the fridge and see if it'll turn into a solid. But, you know, if it's kind of a thicker syrup, that's okay too. These are the jars that I've eaten through. So I'll put that in the fridge and see if it turns into an actual solid. So it tastes like, it's kind of like minty lemonade because of the essentially lemon / citric acid and then all the sugar that you put on it. So it's not that fresh, cool minty flavor, but it does have the minty, it has minty flavor, but not that cooling effect that you expect out of mint. So in case you want to make that, that's what that flavor is. What else? I think I mentioned that I got some more peaches to make some more canned peaches. So I canned I have like 15 pounds of peaches in cans going into the second half of the year. I mowed on Tuesday and then it rained, but considering it's August, this is the first August since I've lived here, I think, that I've actually managed to mow the yard, because I've either blown out my back, or I think it was just blown out my back. So I actually mowed. We'll see if I mow again this month. Maybe I'll keep up the pattern of not really mowing in August. At this point, the neighbors probably expect the yard to go to pot. What else? That might be about it. I don't want to go outside because it's kind of overcast, so there's probably lots of mosquitoes, and I'm sick of all the bug bites. I got one nasty one while I was mowing on the inside of my ankle, and it keeps running. So I don't know what bit me, but I don't think it's a mosquito. Maybe that's it for this week. I don't have too much to talk about. The horrible houses keep getting built. There's all sorts of noise out there still. And I'll leave you with Georgie. Okay, bye.